Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here. Drink a beer and play a game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour podcast.
Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 303. Thank you for joining us tonight. Speaking of joining, we have us quite the guest tonight. The first guest in the Jimmy has a new computer era, so it won't turn off 5 times during a recording. Hopefully, God, I didn't just jinx myself, but we all know how that's going to go. But Brian and I, we're both guys pushing 40. We're both parents. We're both gamers. And we're both drunks. So our guest tonight is almost all those things. I'm not going to put the drunk side in there, but coming to us from the Gamer Looks at 40 podcast, we have Bill. Bill, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate that. Yeah, not drunk anymore. We'll talk about our beverage choices in a moment, but yeah, man, really glad to be here. Thanks for having me on. This has been I'm looking forward to this for a while.
Oh,
Definitely.
yeah. And you're not the only guest. I'll say right off the bat. You're not a degenerate who drinks on a Tuesday night, or usually we do these Monday nights, and it's I always say it's cool. We
Okay.
get it. Some people don't drink. It
Yeah.
don't matter. But no, we really do appreciate you hopping on with us, man. So
Yeah, man.
how you been? And before we go any deeper, first let everyone know where can they find you, where should they subscribe or follow you, drop all
Yeah.
the links.
All the things. Yeah. So if you just go to a gamerlooks of 4040.com, that has all of my everything there. You can listen to shows, find all the social medias. I'm on most of them. I'm most most active, I should say, on like Blue Sky. I try to avoid Twitter these days because it's a bit of a hellscape. And TikTok also occasionally I'll throw things up there. So yeah, be sure to check it out. Just a gamer looks at 4040. And if you're not familiar with the show, it's a retro gaming podcast where I talk to people about their memories of video games. And it's really focused on stories from the people who lived in those games and people who lived playing those games and their stories. So it's really kind of a story focused show is kind of what I'm aiming for.
Yeah, your show's
Now
like
let me ask.
Oops, sorry, Brian, to
Oh, go
cut you
ahead,
off real
Jim.
quick, but like I just got to give him a quick compliment out of the way because
Oh,
like
thanks,
I
man.
was I was lucky enough to hop on there a couple years back to talk about Majora's Mask, and
Yep.
his setup is genius. Now he's got a couple different shows, and I'm sure he can go into more detail on that. Like he's got Tales from the Bargain Bin. He'll have episodes where he does a solo game here or there with a guest, but he's got these projects, Brian, and he will split these project games up over multiple episodes.
Yeah.
So. He's a very organized boy, this Bill, and he has a nice little list of questions. He goes through with all of his guests, and then he splits up the episodes to answer basically one or two questions to get the stories out of people. I'm like,
Right.
my God, that's genius. That's like that's a podcast hack for getting way more content than with not to say less effort because my God, the editing, but it's just like a
Yeah.
genius way to be like, oh, I'm set for the next month.
Yeah, and it's always comes in waves, right? So, like you said, the I do main interviews with I do a season of interviews, and then I have my two friends, my brother-in-law, and another friend from Discord who helps me edit those, and they cut up the interviews into little pieces, throw them into buckets based on topic, and then when I have enough in a bucket for a topic, that's when the episode's done, and then I can just take those pieces and arrange them into a show to kind of tell a kind of sort of narrative, hopefully. And yeah, that's kind of how it rolls. So I've been doing Final Fantasy for it seems like the rest of my natural life. I've been doing Final Fantasy so long, y'all. I did 11 episodes on Final Fantasy 7. 11 episodes, which it's Final Fantasy 7 though. I mean, there's no avoiding it. There's just no avoiding it. So none of the other Final Fantasy games will take that long. But like you said, I also do a thing called Tales from the Bargain Bin, where I talk with people about games that they received either from well-intentioned family members that either were like hidden gems or hidden disasters, and kind of the stories behind those as well. And that's been a lot of fun too. So yeah, we all do all sorts of stuff on A Gamer Looks at 40. So just hit episode 130 on the main feed. So yeah, not quite as robust as y'all right now with 303, but definitely up there.
And it's like funny because the timeline wise, you've been doing it for what, 4 years now, you said?
About 4 years, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So basically, like most people in the world start off as a COVID hobby, or was it something you were looking to do for a while and then it just kind of lined up that way when we all had free time?
It's so funny. I got the way it kind of all got started was I've been podcasting since 2005. I am old. I remember the first time I got an iPod and I saw a thing on there that said podcasts. I'm like, what's a podcast? And then I looked into it and I'm like, oh, I can do my college radio show on the internet and then just release it to people and someone looks at it, fantastic. So I did a music show for a little while, then I did a hockey show with my friend for a while, and then I was just kind of like not doing podcasting stuff until I heard from my friend Mike Alberton of Games My Mom Found. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that show, but he posted on a message board somewhere saying, "Hey, I need guests for a podcast. Come one, come all." So I reached out to him like, "Hey, never met him before," and I guested on his show. I guested on Friday the 13th for the NES, which is a better game than you remember. It's weird, but it's better. I did well, and then I started doing a couple other shows. We started doing Marvel movies together, and I'm like, ooh, I like this. I forgot how much I enjoy doing the podcasting thing. So that was when I started kind of like workshopping the idea, and Gamer Looks at 40 just kind of came to me like as an idea. Like, hey, what my story with video games as I was turning 40 at the time, and everybody else's. That's really what it was. So kind of how I got there. But yeah, I've been doing this for a while. I've been talking into microphones for a while.
Now, Bill, before each episode or the structure you have where you have multiple folks, you talk about it, and then you
Yeah.
split it up. Do you always play the game right before you do the episode so it's fresh in your mind, or are you yourself trying to kind of go off of like just memories of the game?
I try to because you never know where the conversation is going to go. So you never know where. So I really think it's important to have a fresh perspective on it, but we do focus on memories as well. So it's a little bit of both, but I try to stay as current as I can. Sometimes I'm successful, like for Final Fantasy 7, I played some of it. For Final Fantasy 9, I played it for the Final Fantasy 9 episodes. Final Fantasy 8, I got like 3 hours in, and I'm like, nope, this is not fun. I'm not enjoying myself, and I got dad things to do, so I'm just gonna have to go off recollections. And a lot of that episode is gonna be people trying to convince me it's a good game. I don't know, I'm not convinced yet, but there it has its fans, so it really depends. But yeah, I try to be as current as I can, and also try to stick to topics I know well, so it can just kind of saves me that time too. But yeah,
Yeah, I always feel like that's the interesting thing, right? When you go off your memory, I mean, nostalgia exists for a reason that you are really like, you're more remembering just a better time. And sometimes you just lump a game in with like, oh, it was great. And then you go back and you
right,
play, you're like, what the hell was wrong with me? This isn't good
yeah,
at all. Like,
no,
is it just like you had no other options, or what is that magic? And it's almost like that old saying, like, don't meet your heroes. Like, you almost don't want to replay that game because you're like, ah, shit, now that means that wasn't that good. Like, damn.
yeah, no, I totally get that. I totally feel that, and it's interesting because I'm not a nostalgic person by nature. I'm really not, which and it's crazy because my show is seeped in nostalgia. I mean, that's what it is, which is why I like to focus on stories as opposed to just nostalgia. Oh, this game was fun back in the day. Well, how did it make you feel? Like, and trying to dig back into those memories because I do think looking back is good, but nostalgia is a hell of a drug. I mean, you can get stuck in nostalgia. So I try to strike that balance in the show where it's really more about stories and how people grew through the medium as opposed to like, oh, I remember when I was 9 and I didn't have work to do. It's like, well, I don't know. I'm 44, I got 2 kids and work to do. I like focusing on the now. But the stories are kind of what interests me. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Nice.
So speaking
Yeah.
of
Now,
being a father, just like the rest of us, when do you sneak in the time to do it? Do you just sacrifice sleep like we do? Do you
Sacrifice
actually?
sleep. Yeah, sleep. What's sleep? Yeah, it's at night. It's also playing with my son who likes to play games and trying to enjoy it with him, which is kind of cool. Keeps me more current on the newer things that are going on. Luckily, my son, he's not a Fortnite person. He's more of he likes adventuring stuff. So he loves Zelda. He's a huge Zelda fan. So it's been cool to kind of like play those with him. Beat 'em ups are always fun with him. And he's 9, so he's still kind of getting his feel for things, but and getting his tastes. But he's always open to playing the old stuff too, which is cool. Like he loved Mega Man X. And he's like, oh, this game's amazing. And I can't wait to play like Final Fantasy 6 and Chrono Trigger with him. Like I can't wait to like do those with him when he's a little bit older. Hi. Oh, and that's my dog. Anyone say hi to my dog?
Oh,
Hey,
hey,
hey, I'm Luna.
nice.
Hi. You gonna say hi to everybody? I know. You have food. You have food. Sorry about that, guys.
No,
But
all
yeah,
good.
yeah, I know. So yeah, that's kind of when I sneak it in though in the evenings for sure. That's kind of how I roll.
Now, the real question is, over the past few weeks, we all got projects. Like you said, you just released a video. It was a AMA on the state of your channel.
Yep.
But what has been your kind of go-to game or games that you have been able to get some time into over the past few weeks?
I've been over the last few, I'll probably say months more because I've been trying to knock off lots of stuff in the backlog. So I played Inscription and finished that one, which I enjoyed, which I enjoyed to a certain extent. I really like what they did with that game. I don't love the second act of Inscription. I'm not a deck builder. I don't dig deck building games, and I realized that through this game. But it's got an amazing conceit, and I think it's well worth going through it. Well, what else have I played? Celeste I finished not too long ago, which was awesome. I love that game. Right now I'm in Red Dead Redemption 2, which I played it when it first came out. I just didn't have the appetite for a big meaty game. I just didn't have the appetite for this giant game, and so I kind of bounced off after a couple hours. So I'm playing it again now, and I'm maybe 4 or so hours in, and I like it a lot, but I'm still kind of weighing that. Do I really want to burn like 90 hours on this game? Like, I don't know if I want to. So I'm still on the fence, although I really appreciate it for what it is. It's incredible, but I don't know. It's just that time ROI kind of situation when you're a dad, right? Like you said, you got the kids, you got the work, got everything else going on. I got the podcast going on, and so I need to like balance my experiences. But Red Dead is what I've been kind of playing as of late.
Yeah, I actually this year, so that was one of my resolution games for this year. So I started and completed it. And yeah, it was a beefy is a good word for it. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know that my final hours, it had to be 70 hours. And I did a lot of the side missions. Certainly not all of them, not all the challenges, but like I was like you. At first I started, I'm like, okay, it's fine. Like I
yeah,
enjoyed it. Like I appreciate all the good parts. And then there is a turning point where you go, ah, fuck, like I'm starting to think about it more. I'm starting to
damn
want to
it,
play it
yeah,
more. And like then it just sucks you in and then it tricks you because you're like, I think I'm getting to the end. And then you're like, oh no, this is like the halfway point. You're like, oh shit. So it's an all or nothing
yeah,
experience. But I would say I
yep,
was happy to go through it. It's one of those games like there's some games I feel like they get accolades or like too much, like, oh, everyone loves it. This is one that deserves it. If you go all the way through, you go,
yeah.
okay, yeah, it deserves it.
Yeah, I have a funny
Nice.
feeling that's gonna happen to me. I have a funny feeling I'm gonna slowly slide my way in. I have the same thing happened with Control, which is the bigger game I've played recently. And again, another one that was on the backlog, owned it, and like, let me play this game. I got a new graphics card in November of last year. I got rebuilt my computer, so I was like, you know what? Let me run this thing and see if it works. And it first couple hours, I'm like, okay. And then it got its hooks in, and that was it. I was like, oh, this is so much fun. I really like this. But that's like a
Yeah.
30-hour game. Red Dead 2 is going to be like 80 probably, I'm
It,
sure.
oh,
The way I play it, because I'm very slow when I play games. I don't like to rush through things. So yeah.
nice, nice.
And
Now, what
actually,
about you,
Bill,
Chambers?
Bill, just like Brian right now, aren't you going through BioShock Infinite?
I
No,
just
I
finished
did.
it.
You just finished Bioshock
Oh,
Infinite. No, I
yeah.
played Bioshock Infinite a few years ago for
Oh, is
games
that
my
what it was?
mom found. Yeah, I played it
Oh,
for games my mom found for their. I was on all their Bioshock episodes. So I'm a huge Bioshock fan,
Mhm.
and my Bioshock episode, Infinite episode became a little infamous on that. In that, Mike, the host of Games My Mom Found, is constantly bringing it up during our episodes. Whenever I'm on that show, he's constantly referencing my annoyance at Bioshock Infinite. I don't love that game, and if you want to hear why, there's a 3 hour episode that I re-released on the main A Gamer Looks at 40 feed. I don't remember what episode number it is. I did it during one of my breaks. So if you want to hear me rail for 3 hours on why Bioshock Infinite is a okay FPS and a terrible Bioshock game, there you go. I am not a fan of Bioshock Infinite. I won't say a hater, but boy, oh boy, it's a bit of a letdown for me. So that's
Did
just,
you end up finishing it?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
I beat it when it first came out, and then I played it again to completion. About maybe a couple years ago. And I remember liking it a lot when it first came out, but over the years, things about that game just bother me.
Hmm.
And I am not the biggest fan of it. I don't loathe it, but I gotta say, as a BioShock game, it's a disappointment. Because I love the BioShock series.
Yeah,
Huge
I
BioShock fan.
just finished it 2 days ago.
Okay.
So
So what did you
it's
think?
f- it's fresh in my mind. So that's what I've been saying to Jim the whole time. I said I first game completely fell in love with. Like, oh, this is a no-brainer. Second game I
Yeah.
played and I went, okay, this is the first game, better combat, smoother combat, but it's
Yep.
basically the same game. It didn't
Right.
break anything. It's like
Right.
it's still really good. And then I played this and I'm like, why can I only hold two guns? Why is the combat so stiff? Why are the enemies so unmemorable? Like there were moments of like, oh, I see they're trying to make it on in the sky and they have the rail system. Like they
Yep.
have interesting ideas. And then it just falls flat. And even I won't say any spoilers, even though it's an old
Right.
ass game, the
Right.
big surprise still kind of left me going like,
Mm,
okay, like
yeah.
it's fine. Like BioShock, I feel like with all the bosses, especially and the atmosphere, you need those like moments of like, holy shit. And I
Yeah.
can't real other than maybe the Songbird, I can't
Hmm.
really point to like something that I went, oh man, that was so kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, though powers, they were okay, some interesting
Yeah.
ones, but I found by the end I only really used two or three tops. I
Yeah.
definitely didn't
Yep.
cycle through them. I
Nope.
don't think I used fire at all. Like that
Yeah.
one was useless.
Yep.
Um, so you hit the nail on the head. If it wasn't called BioShock and it was just random FPS shooter set in a floating world, I'd go, that's interesting.
It's fine. Yeah.
But
Fine.
it brings it down being tied to BioShock. So
Yeah.
it's like you have an expectation and it didn't hit it for me. So
Yeah.
it's a B, maybe a low B, maybe C. It just it's
Yeah.
fine. That's what I
Yeah.
can say.
Yeah, it's see for me, I love the immersive sim. So I love immersive sims. Anything that allows me to explore and poke at the edges, I'm all for. And BioShock 2 are great immersive sims. I love Deus Ex. I love anything like Prey, from a few years ago. That those immersive sims where you get the storytelling through the environment and everything. There's always interesting things here, there, and everywhere. I am so for that. And BioShock Infinite takes that all away and just turns it into a corridor shooter and an average corridor shooter at that. So there's no great sense of place. Columbia is a really cool idea. Songbird is super cool, but it's just for me, it was just a bunch of wasted opportunities, and it was a real bummer that I don't know. It's just a wasted opportunity. It's not an immersive sim that like Bioshock 1 and Bioshock 2 are. And that's a shame if you're going to Bioshock for immersive sims. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm right. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. Like I said, Jim, I just finished that, so moving up. I think I'm at 4 or 5 of my 10 resolution games already, and
Nice.
I was like, man, do I jump right into one of the other big story ones? But I
Mm,
kind of needed a palate cleanser, and
okay.
last year for some of our other contests, I played these games called Serial Cleaner and Serial Cleaners, where uh, they're basically you have to clean. Think Miami Hotline,
Huh?
um, but you're cleaning up like someone else's like a serial killer. You come in, you have to clean up without anyone noticing you.
Oh,
So it's
that's
like
cool.
stealth mixed with an interesting idea. Well, there's
Interesting.
there's some game on Xbox. It was free. I don't even know what it's called. I think it's called like
Nice.
Crime Scene Cleaner.
Uh-huh.
And take Power Wash Simulator mixed with serial cleaners, and that's what you have. Like it's a first person view of doing that,
Oh,
except
that's
there's no
cool.
time limit. It's a relaxing game, but you still have to like 100% find blood, get rid of the body, do this.
Oh, that's interesting.
I literally put on a podcast or some music and it's like a chill out game for me right now. And I'm like, you
That's
know what?
cool.
I'm going to go through that before I dive into a very story heavy, either Hellblade 2 or
Mm,
Blasphemous 2. It's one of
sure.
those that I'm diving
Yep.
into and I'm like, yeah, this is a palate cleanser for me right now.
That's a good idea. That's always good to do that for sure.
Oh yeah. Now what about you, Jamers? What have you been able to play since last week?
All right, so for my gaming, I'm almost done one of my resolution games as well. So, Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. I'm playing it. I finally, like I said last week, I got past the part that confused the hell out of me for about a good 3-4 hours. I've started blasting through it, but this is turning into one of those that's like, it just keeps going. It just keeps going. Just keeps going. And I like the last couple years I've been getting into Metroidvanias, so I'm fine with it, and it's a good one. But I have like a wall around 20 hours with the Metroidvania where I go, all right, I've had enough of this.
Hmm.
And I'm at like the 23-ish hour mark now, and I'm just entering the last area. Like I know I'm gonna have a couple final boss fights and all that crap, but I'm like, all right, it's good, but I am ready to be done this. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good game. It's a little too cryptic at times. It's like very old school Igavania, which, given who developed it, it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, you talked about Blasphemous. That's one I'll probably try and get to next year if I have the time for it, just because I absolutely love the first one. And, that had like a hard 17 to 19 hours. You could basically get through the story. You 100% it, but you'll get through it. And I'm just like, that's the sweet spot right there. But no, still a good game. And talking about games that I keep going back to, it's just I finished some more StarCraft 2 whenever I have time. It's actually funny talking to Bill here because he's like on his AMA episode, he's like, yeah, I don't really like RTSs, I don't really like roguelikes, I don't like card builders, as I learned tonight. And I'm just like, it's like Bizarro Jim over here. Like, this is ridiculous.
That's so funny. I know it's funny. Because I like a good Metroidvania. I've always liked that. I played the first Blasphemous and I really enjoyed it. Thought it was really good. And it didn't overstay its welcome, which those games can do.
Yep.
Like I love Hollow Knight and things of that nature. I do believe that we'll never get Silksong. I think that is the greatest troll in video games, and it's just never going to happen. Even though on the Nintendo Direct it was like, oh, we just threw that in there. At some point we'll have that out for you. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. But yeah, I just roguelikes and RTS is not my thing. And deck builders, man, I don't know what it is. I like so my son likes Pokemon because he's 9, so of course he likes Pokemon,
Right.
as every 9-year old does. And he went to a summer camp one year, a couple of years ago, and he came back going, Daddy, I want Pokemon cards. Daddy, I need Pokemon cards. And I live in this world, so I know what that means. I know that means money. I'm just seeing dollar signs in my head. It's like, well, I don't know, maybe. The next day, he comes back with a handful of Pokemon cards. Some kid gave him just some random stuff out of a pack, and like the dealer giving him a taste. Like, just here's a little taste for you, just to get you hooked. And I was like, okay. So he's like, Daddy, I need these things. So I say, well, if you do your chores and whatever, we'll talk about it. If you want to learn to play the game, then yes, we'll start doing it. But I want you to learn to play the game because that's reading, it's math. I'm being all dad about it. So he does his things. I get him a Battle Academy, comes to the decks, and we learn how to play it. It's fun. I enjoy it. Now I do the TCG mobile on my phone now and again. But for something about building the deck itself is not enjoyable for me. Like, actually, that's why I liked Inscription. Inscription kind of does a lot of that for you, at least early on.
Mhm.
And I don't know, just for some reason I can't get into the deck building side of things. It's not for me. So occasional Pokemon TCG, and he likes the cards and he collects now, and as much as you can these days with every scalping and everything else. But yeah, that's not my thing.
No, which is perfectly fine. We all have our
Yeah.
tastes. And like, it's funny you talk about him getting that fix for the TCG. The game that was the worst for that, for giving you that gateway drug, was Yu-Gi-Oh! Because if you
Oh.
were like, I don't want to get into the card game, but you buy a video game, they give you a couple cards. And they're not just
Ooh.
regular cards. They're all shiny, they're secret
Uh,
rares,
uh-huh.
they're ones you can't get anywhere else. And you're like, they look so cool. They're so crisp. You got that smell. I
Yeah.
want to add more to it. But yeah, so keep your kid away from Yu-Gi-Oh! If you don't want to go bankrupt.
Fair enough. Fair
And
enough.
actually, it's funny talking about like a kid playing Pokemon. My daughter, through her school, just started playing this game called Prodigy that they have there. And it's basically like a turn-based RPG, but they have to
Yep.
solve math questions in between.
Yep.
I'm like,
Yep.
oh
My
my
son
God,
plays
like,
that. My son
yeah,
plays it. Yeah.
she's never been a gamer at all. She'll do like a little bit of Mario Party or Mario Kart. That's about it. But she is hooked on this game right now. She's
Yep.
like, Daddy, look at my monster. It's evolving. Oh, hold on, I have to solve this question or figure out this pattern. I'm
Yep.
like, this is genius.
Yep. No, my son plays Prodigy. Yeah, he has an account for that, and he's played that before. He likes it a lot too. I realize it's interesting with having kids in games because you learn what they're into. My son is very into the way his character looks,
Mm.
oddly so, and I'm not as much. But he has to have like the complete armor sets in Breath of the Wild. He has to have everything has to match. Like he has to have the barbarian cloak and the hat and the feet and whatever else it's called. He is very particular on how his characters look, and I think that's very interesting. I just wouldn't have guessed it from his personality.
Just
Now,
like a kid
Bill,
throwing any mishmash together, and then he's just like, "Wait, you're particular now?
Yeah,
I have to take you to
right.
church, and you look like this, but no, in your game, you look perfect."
Exactly, exactly. Wow, you look like. But that's funny because even when he's like just out and about, he will put together an outfit when he dresses himself. Now he's 9, but he still tries. His fit is important. I guess I don't know where he got that from. It's not me. I don't know. I show up looking half homeless everywhere I go, so I don't know. But yeah, yeah, that's his thing.
now, Bill, I just noticed, and you just took another sip, so I'm curious. What you sipping on tonight with us for this episode?
I am doing a Brooklyn Brewery non-alcoholic special effects classic golden. I don't know if you can see it for the camera. I got the blur on, but
Going in and
It's
out.
funny
Okay.
when it first came up, it looked like blurring in a movie, like when you don't want to see a label.
yeah, there it
Nice.
is.
My
Yeah,
God, so many
special.
boobs on that can.
Yeah, it's
how
a
how
special.
how is it?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I was very into the craft beer scene about 10 years ago or so. I used to do a lot of writing here in the Austin area. There wasn't a brewery that opened without me going to it for its opening. So I was
For
very
sure.
involved. My wife and I homebrewed for a while. So I still have all the stuff to make beer if you want to. And about 5 years ago, I realized, ooh, I have a problem. Like I liked it too much. And not to get too, sad or depressing on the show, but I had to get sober. And so it's actually tomorrow is my 5 year soberversary. So
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
good job, man.
No
yeah.
better way to
Congrats.
tempt that fate than to come on a beer podcast. So
It's-
good work.
it's funny too. I still love talking about it. I miss talking about hop varietals and malt mixes mashes. And I was a big into Belgians. That was like my jam. My Belgian sours and lambics and creeks and all that stuff. That was my jam and stouts.
Those are
But
your go-to, yeah.
yeah, those are my go-to. I was a big into Belgians. But I also really like I love stouts. Here in the Austin area, everything now is more pilsners and lagers because it's always hot here, which is fine. And I like beer that tastes like beer. But yeah, I had we used to cellar stuff. I had stuff we used to like age things, and yeah, we were really into it, my wife and I. And she still drinks now and again, but yeah, I got to a point where it was like, yeah, I think I have a problem, and I got stopped, and I stopped, and that was 5 years ago. Yeah, I guess April 30th, 2020,
Nice.
Good for
right
you,
at the
man.
tight. Yeah, man, right when the pandemic kind of was starting, I decided to stop, which was no one else did that. Everyone else did
Yeah,
the
everyone
opposite.
else.
Everyone got
Uh-huh.
worse. You're like, oh,
Everyone
let's
got
make this
worse.
harder.
Yeah. So yeah, it was
Nice.
just one of those things where
Congrats,
I was just
bud.
like, man, it's getting on top of me. But yeah, so now I stick to the non-alcoholic stuff, and yeah, it's fine. I like Athletic Brewing does some really good non-alcoholic stuff. I like their hazy is actually very good. And if you live in the area of a Athletic Brewing brewery, there's one in Connecticut, and I think there's one in California now. There might be a couple more. If you go on site, they have beers that you can't get anywhere else, and they do sours, and their sours are actually really good. Like they're really good sours, but you can't find those in stores. You gotta like order them. But yeah, no,
Nice.
Athletic is probably my favorite of the near beers. But yeah,
I mean, it's pretty cool
Love it.
too because like the non-alcoholic beer scene's just exploded in like the last 2 or 3 years. So
yep,
it used to be like one little corner of a shelf, and now it's like an entire section in the back of any
yep,
distributor.
yep,
Yep.
and that's great. I think that's really good. And there's some that do it right, some do it. I gotta say, I non-alcoholic Guinness, pretty darn good,
Hmm.
pretty close. Not obviously not. You don't get the obviously the bite of the alcohol, but that's a low alcohol beer anyway.
Yeah.
And they got the mouthfeel perfect. Like it
Hmm.
feels like Guinness. So if you enjoy Guinness or something on
That's
Nitro,
huge.
then then
Yeah.
the non-alcoholic Guinness is good. To the point where if someone was recovering, like someone in recovery, I wouldn't recommend it because it could be triggering because the mouthfeel is very, very close. So obviously
Mm,
be careful on that. But yeah, if you feel like you can handle it, then yeah, I recommend it. It's good.
Hmm.
nice. Now, congrats, bud. Yeah,
Thanks,
but
man.
what about you, Chambers? Now, Jim, you've been on a tear of very fruity sour beers, I feel like, for the past 20 episodes. So,
It's been
what
a while.
watermelon candy dip shit are you drinking now?
Well,
Is
Brian,
it
from the
is it a
Yards Brewing
watermelon beer?
Close. I almost grabbed one. From the Yards Brewing Company, local to good old Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for us. From Yards, it's an American wheat ale, Brian. It is their Blueberry Crush. So it
Ooh,
comes in at 4.5% alcohol, brewed with blueberries and honey. And yeah, it's exactly what it says. It is a strong wheat ale, forward kind of flavor profile. Little hints of the honey with the sweetness and hints of the blueberry and the flavor, definitely in the aroma, but not overpowering at all. So if you like your wheat ale and you want a little something added onto it, then yeah, it'll be good for you. If you're someone who only wants really fruity beer, then it'll probably leave you disappointed. But for an overall beer, solid. It's a good little summer sipper.
nice, nice.
Jim, if I
I
know you, wheat beers means you're going to be farting your ass off all day tomorrow. So, yeah.
Right, that's called no matter what I do with anything ever.
That's called getting older, Brian.
Yeah.
That's called age. That's the systems don't work. The exhaust systems don't work as well as they used to. All right, it's nothing, not that at all. It's all jacked up there. So
Oh, right. I had a perfect Jimmy moment this weekend over. So our one neighbor was throwing a barbecue, and it's my first time over their house. So we're all in the backyard, sitting around, hanging out, and I'm like, got a fart. I can squeak this out, nice and quiet like. And of course, it happened during a lull in the conversation. And I'm sitting on a plastic chair, and it's just to the fact where like I can't even remotely hide it. My face just went, oh.
now,
See,
did the
Jim.
chair amplify the
Oh,
vibration?
the acoustics
Okay.
were perfect. There's there were concrete footers under it, so it just went from the plastic to the concrete, bouncing
Oh,
all over the place as loud as can be. It's like being at Red Rocks, basically.
Jim, you had two options there to make it comedic gold. You could either look at your wife and be like, "Why'd you do that?" Or you just like after it cough, be like,
Or I just go full regalia and I just crap myself right there and start crying, and then everyone
yeah,
just feels bad.
that's an option. That's
Right?
always an option.
Right. Adapt and improvise, Delta Force. But yeah. So that was fun. But yeah, that was also after a good amount of drinks. So yeah,
Yeah.
maybe after a good amount of wheats and stuff like that. Actually,
Yeah.
the Texas beers did it because I was drinking a lot of Shiner. So that got I was
Mm.
snake bitten, we can say.
Yeah, Shiner. Shiner will do it. Shiner will do it.
Well, I don't actually know where this brewery is out of. I'm actually looking it up. It's funny. We're talking about Austin. Uh, we're talking about Texas and beer. So this one's actually California, but it is from Stone Cold Steve Austin, and
Oh,
it's
nice.
their Broken Skull Brewing. The only reason I got this is because I ran to the beer store right after work today, and over the weekend I finished the Mr. McMahon docu series. And so naturally, I haven't watched wrestling shit in so long. I saw the 316. I went, all right, that's a sign
Perfect.
right there. Yeah. So I got there. I've had their I think it I don't know if they changed their label, but I had the one before where it was just the giant skull on it.
Mhm.
So I don't know if this is the same beer I've had before. It's just different label, or if it's a different one. But it's their IPA. It is 7.2%. And it oh man, they have a little writing in here. When the good folks at Pernault Farms and Yakima Chef Hops invited me to sample their hops during their annual harvest, it inspired me to make a new IPA for you. The hops in this beer were selected by yours truly. I hope you enjoy this beer as much as I do, Steve Austin.
Hmm.
So this must be a newer one. And it tastes different. It's your standard IPA. It's not a double, not a hazy. Uh, when I first poured this, it had when I call it seafoam head. Like I mean, that shit
Oh
was
wow.
coming out of the glass. Like it was so much head, and it
Really?
was that shit that like dissipates real
Mm.
slow. So it left a ton of lacing. Um, Pretty good. I'm at the point now where like if I'm gonna drink an IPA, I want to go double or hazy.
Hmm.
Going back to standard IPA almost feels like I'm missing something. Like there's something off. It's not bad. Uh, Pretty decent mouthfeel. 7.2%. I didn't realize it was that strong. And I'm like halfway through the first can, and it's a big boy can. I like it. But then again, I don't go to Broken Skull because I think it's gonna be amazing beer. I do it because of nostalgia and I see 316 and you
Yeah.
know, that's why we do the things we do. So
You see, that's interesting. When I was in the beer world, and the haze craze, which is still going on, I can't really call
oh
it like
yeah.
craze anymore. We're still in hazy. My wife was burnt out on hazies years ago, so
Mm,
we were always looking for old school West Coast style IPAs, which are like again
okay.
extremely dank, hop forward, kicks you in the
Hmm.
teeth kind of IPAs. And they've started to make a comeback as well. But here in Austin, it's really a lot of pilsners, a lot of Kolsch's. One of my favorite Kolsch's is out of a brewery called St. Elmo's, and in South Austin. A phenomenal Kolsch, like exactly what you want from that style: crisp, clean, nice and bitter, really excellent. Yeah, but that sounds. I like an old school IPA though. I mean, it's just I don't know. A nice fresh IPA is great, great. So
Did you
I
guys go through the craze? Like, so hazies hit everywhere.
yeah.
We went through this one. We have had a brewery near us that, I mean, exploded. It was a really small brewery called Tired Hands. And I want to say, is the reason milkshake IPAs became a thing, at least in the
Mhm.
Northeast. Did that hit down in Austin, like the milkshake IPAs?
Not as much as you would think. It's the climate. It was there. Milkshake IPAs. It was somewhat community. I think did a milkshake IPA. A few locals did it, but not a ton. That was really boutiquey. It's just the climate here is not conducive for its big, thick monstrosity. Although barrel aging is a big deal. You know, I barrel aging stouts, and I'll tell you as a funny story. This is from many years ago. Um, I was um, I was at South by Southwest, which is the music, film, interactive festival in Austin, and I used to cover it for the blog I wrote for us. I used to cover music. So for years, I would cover South by Southwest. I'd be there for 5 straight days from noon till 1 o'clock in the morning, just doing music coverage. And I went to a bar called Easy Tiger, which was downtown. It's no longer there, and it was one of my regular places because I worked relatively close to it, my regular 9 to 5. So I go into the place. It was rented out for like a private party. The whole place was rented out by some record label, something. I walk in. I'm not supposed to be there, but I just walk in. No one stops me. And my bartender friend, they play bars like 3 people deep. You've been to a busy bar, obviously, where it's just like, and it's a private thing. So they're not using real glasses. They're putting beer in plastic cups, which they never do. They're just trying to churn stuff out. And my bartender friend sees me from across the bar. He's like, Bill! He runs over and he hands me a red solo cup of Avery Teak. Now, I'm not sure you've ever heard of Avery Teak. Avery is a California brewery. Teak is a barrel aged stout at 17%
Ooh.
alcohol. 17. And they usually sell them responsibly in 6-ounce glasses. My dude gave me a solo cup full to the top of Teak. And this is like 7:30 at night. And I really think he just wanted me to stay because he wanted a friend to be there just to hang while he was like serving all these out of towners. He was just happy to see a human being that he recognized. But I got like a third through it. I'm like, damn, I gotta work. Like I have to like take pictures and shoot shows and write articles. Like I'm gonna be shot. So I had to just like leave it at the side and just gotta scurry my way out. But my dude handed me a solo cup of teak and he was I don't even think he charged. He just handed it to me. It just appeared like out of the mist. It was wild. It was
That was like
completely
38
wild.
bucks a beer. Just like, here,
It
please,
was
thank you for
like,
being a friend.
yeah, thank you. I'm glad I recognized somebody in this sea of out of towners who aren't tipping me because they're not paying for anything. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was wild. That was fun. If I That would have been a lost day if I'd finished that teak, I suspect. I don't think I would have gotten any coverage done. My job
Yeah,
would not have been
we
completed.
our one buddy was coming back from out of town and we went to this place when we went to Iron Abbey gym and
Mhm. Oh, okay.
our buddy he wanted to hit on Untapped. He wanted to hit his thousandth beer. So I suggested the strongest thing they had there was Viking blood, which was from Dank's Mod. If you ever saw it, it's in the ceramic thing. It's actually technically a mead, but
Yeah.
they put it with
Hmm.
all the beer, but it's 19%.
Whew.
And you look at the price and you're like, wait, what? How much is it? And then you get the glass and it's not a full size glass. But he was like, really? That's gonna be it? And like halfway through, he's like, damn, like it's delicious, but like, yeah, you feel all 19% of that. Now it's still smooth, very sugary, like a mead should be. But man, like, yeah, for special occasions, I love the high alcohol beers. Like I still have an 120 minute back when that was still a craze. I
Mhm.
still have that, the old Mad Elves with the original design. I
Yep.
have them aging still like from 2012, 2013. Like
Wow.
I still got them and I'm like, at what point do I open it? Like, I don't know when I
Yeah,
want to crack
you're
it.
gonna want to crack them soon.
Yeah.
I think anyone who drinks beer in craft beer world has a Dogfish 120-minute story. I have one as
Uh-huh.
well. My wife and I, she had just gotten, she had some sort of procedure done and she hadn't drank for a while. So we went to one of our favorite places in Austin and they had 120s available. And we're like, hey, we had never had it before. Because it was just back in like in 2013, 2014 when they were really hard to get. It was
Yep.
like, oh, you wait in line, you'd get like one a person. Now it's like it's not a big deal to get anymore. Kind of
Yeah.
like Bourbon County is it's like it's not a big deal to get Bourbon County anymore. But back in those it was hard. So we were like, oh, you have 120, we're gonna do it. So she starts drinking this 120 like it's a regular beer, not realizing that it was 17 to 20% alcohol or whatever, because every year it's different. And within like after about half of it, she's like, I am drunk. Like, what is going on? And it was one of those situations where it just snuck up on her, but
Huh.
because on the label it doesn't say, you just didn't realize. And we knew it was high, but didn't realize it was that high. And boy, oh boy, that was an interesting ride home. I decided to very quickly, I will no longer drink. I will be driving us home. We are good. You enjoy that. Have fun. But yeah, we all have a thing a 120 story. I used to like them after 2.5, 3 years was my sweet spot for 120s. We used to age a
Yeah.
lot of those. That was always my sweet spot because like that hop bite mellows out, so you get that malt comes up, but you still have that
Mhm.
nice hop character, and it's not as strong, like not as in your face. That's kind of where I always 2.5, 3 years is where I always crack them. But 10, and I love Mad Elf. I'm from the East Coast originally, and so I have a
Okay.
history with the Trogs Mad Elf. Trogs, right? I'm pretty sure.
Oh
Yep.
yeah,
Yes,
Trogs.
sir.
Yeah. And I know the Mad Elf. Me and the Mad Elf had many run in at
Yep.
my brother's house for Christmas. Mad Elf shows up and it's like, oh, here we go.
That was a
That
Yep.
you
gateway drug for a lot of our friends for craft beer because they wouldn't touch it, but we'd break out the Mad Elf and they're like, "Ooh, cherry," and then
yeah,
it's
ooh, cherry.
back then it
Yep.
was like 15%, so they're
Yep.
like, "Ooh, cherry."
Yeah, that was the like the Golden Monkey was my Victory
Oh
Golden Monkey
yeah.
was one of those
Those are
gateways for me too. I'll tell you another quick story. I know we're just talking about beer now, but this is drink a beer, play a game. We will talk
That's
about
that's
right.
games at
right.
some point.
Damn right.
I was at my brother. We went to this little towny bar where I grew up. Grew up in northern New Jersey, like right outside of Newark. With this little towny bar, peanut shells on the floor, decent chicken wings, and Bud Light and Coors Light. And for some reason they had on tap Golden Monkey, and I don't know why they had Golden Monkey. And they were pouring it in, and just in case you don't know what Golden Monkey is, a Belgian Chipel that's about like 8%, probably eight and change. And they were pouring it in pint glasses, like legitimate pint glasses, which you're not supposed to do because they didn't know what they got. Like, someone probably just showed up with this keg and said, "Have this," and they said, "Okay." And after like we were watching a hockey game, by the second period, we were like, "Oh, I love this Golden Monkey." We were just
Yep.
God, it was, but that's that. So whenever when I was drinking, I would always make sure I brought some Golden Monkey over to my brother.
Yeah,
Uh,
that I feel like for us,
Generation.
everyone we knew, that was the intro. Yeah. I think it was 9 or 10%. And that was the first like holy shit strong beer. Like
Yeah,
before then, like maybe a Molson Triple X was like the strong beer.
right.
But then you tried a Golden Monkey and it tricks you. You drink it and you
Oh,
go, "Oh, this ain't bad." And then you accidentally go into two or three and you went, "Oh,
I'm
this
shot.
is this is
Sour Monkey's good
rough."
too. The Sour Monkey's
Uh,
great too.
oh yeah. Yeah, now they have tropical monkey, naked monkey. Like they have so many variety offshoots, and they're all
Yeah.
delicious. But yeah, everyone our age definitely has the golden monkey story.
Okay. I got to jump in real quick. I got to jump in, Bill. So you
Yeah.
talked about doing the hockey podcast, and you're from the East Coast in Jersey. Are you
Yes,
on the Devils side or you're on the Flyers side?
I'm a Devils fan.
You son of
Devils
a
fan.
bitch.
Devils. That's it.
Is
Sorry.
Martin Brodeur your hero for life?
I would say hero for life. I mean, I can make an argument he's the greatest goaltender who ever lived. I would say hero for life. I've been a fan of the Devils since 1993. So, and I grew up playing street hockey in Jersey, which is almost cliche at this point. And so I love hockey. Hockey's always been my jam. But I'm a Devils fan through and through, even
That's
here
fine.
in
As long
living
as
in
you moved
Texas.
to Texas and you didn't become like a Stars fan and just like
No,
hop on that bandwagon, good man.
no, that's not going to happen. My son likes the Devils. It's funny. My son, his local high school, if we stay in this neighborhood, are the Vista Ridge Rangers. And I already told my wife, I cannot say "Let's go Rangers." Those
Nope.
words are not going to leave my mouth. I'll say "Let's go Vista Ridge." Let's go Vista Ridge if he plays sports or something. But I'm not going to wear a Go
Not gonna be
Rangers
a
shirt.
Rangers.
It is not happening. I would rather my son be oblivious to the Rangers existing than him be a fan of the Rain. Look. If you're a Rangers fan, that's fine. If you grew up with it, that's fine. It's all in good fun, right? I'm sure you're a lovely person. I just loathe your hockey team to the ends of the earth, and I have nothing but disdain for that entire organization. But you're probably a wonderful person if you're a Rangers fan out there. Sure, you're fine. But lots of Ranger fans, lovely people, passionate about their team. Can't stand your team. I just can't stand them. Don't like looking at them. So that's how that works.
That's all right. I'll go a step further and say Rangers fans, Cowboys fans, you're not good people. So,
Yeah,
but
fair. Yeah. I've met a fair amount, and again, living in the Texas now, I lots of Cowboy fans. So
oh, I'm
yeah,
sure.
my entire family. Are you in? So Jim, you're in Philly area? I'm assuming. Or?
Yeah, Brian and I are both Philly. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are Flyers and Eagles. Okay. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Very good.
Yeah, Flyers have been a rough decade.
Been a rough decade. Yeah, well, Devils haven't been much better. Look, I don't know what the game. I know we're playing Carolina as we're recording this, and I'm sure it's not going well. So I'm just kind of like, it's fine.
Oh yeah, same here. It's funny watching like when you know how bad your players are, and like we traded Scotty Lawton, he was our assistant captain, and like
Yep.
if you're a Flyers fan, you're like, there's no way a guy like Lawton, nice guy, should never wear a letter, and he gets traded, and they're like, oh yeah, we got the Flyers assistant, and then like 2 weeks later, you're like, what the hell, this bum doesn't do anything, and I'm just sitting there going,
Yeah. See. Yeah. The Flyers were. I think wasn't it the year that Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier was the Powers? I think was the Flyers guy. Was it Owen Powers? Is that right? No. My God, dang it. Flyers second. He was the second overall pick. Devils had the first. Flyers had the second, and the Flyers picked. Uh,
Is that when we got Nolan Patrick?
Nolan Patrick. That's it. Nolan Patrick. That was the Hischier year.
That bus.
That was Hischier. That was the Hischier year. Yeah, Devils had got Hischier first overall, and the guy picked. Oh man, that was a debate. That was a big debate back in 2013, 14, whenever that was. That was a big. Nolan Patrick or Nico Hischier, and y'all picked that. I'm sorry, man. I feel for
Yeah,
you.
that was the Fates, just like it's Patrick Cade and JVR all over again.
That's right.
Oh, it's
Man.
been a rough go.
Indeed.
But all right, Brian,
Chambers,
you say it's time?
it's time. What questions we got from our awesome patrons this week?
Patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question that we will answer in each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. So first up, from good old Randy from the Rich Dickman Show. Well, he was a few weeks behind, so he's got a couple. So we'll blast these out quick. First up, is Nintendo's $450 Switch 2 price tag justified, or are they banking too hard on brand loyalty and nostalgia? And would you pay $80 for a first-party game if it didn't offer revolutionary gameplay or tech?
I am not buying a Switch 2. That's not happening. I already told my son. We watched the direct together. He was hyped. He was like, "Oh, Daddy, we need a Switch 2." I'm like, "Wait for the price, kid." And then the price came out, and like, we're not getting one. I'm not going to spend $700 potentially, or whatever, how much it is, on a machine that does one thing, that plays Mario Kart. Like not yet. Like it's got it got I have a thing that plays Mario Kart. I'll spend money on my PC because I use it 12 hours a day sometimes. I use it constantly. But yeah, I can't see it. Now, do I think they're being greedy? I don't know. I don't know the behind the scenes. I don't know how much things cost. I don't have enough information to make that determination. But I do respect those who are going for it and those who aren't. I think it's not something to argue about. It's just, does it work for you? For me, the return is not there for a Switch 2 yet. So I'm gonna say no. But do I think they're being greedy? I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know how much these things cost. I don't know the overhead. I just know what you price it for, and that's about the end of it for me. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Jim and I have talked about this a little bit. I I do think they're being greedy, number one, because to your point, I think they're at the end of the day, it's still a one trick pony that right now all they have is that, right? Like the the shine of it's a very convenient system. Okay. But for a price hike up to $450 when you can still get a PS5 or Xbox Series X for 500 or 50 more bucks, I have a problem with that. And you're still buying a generation or two behind hardware, software, like convenience is really all you're paying for in first party games. To your point, eventually they will have a catalog that goes, oh, yeah, they have first party games that are make it way more worth it. They're going to have this new online system, which they have been the laughing stock of online network systems forever. Like they can't get that shit right. I don't have faith that this is going to make it right. I think the camera thing is going to make games laggy and weird as shit because I don't think their network's going to support it. So I'm the same way. I do want to get one just strictly for my son, so it's an excuse to like play with him. But I already same deal. I was like, yeah, we're not getting that new. That'll be when there's a price drop, and their greed is just amplified by the price of that game. Like, I don't doubt you can put hundreds of hours in Mario Kart. No one's debating that, but I'm sorry, that is not worthwhile. Like, from what I saw in the game, they did not spend incrementally huge amounts of money for what is now a 10-year-old game from what was originally on the Wii U and then upgraded a little bit to now this. Like it doesn't look that drastically different. There's day and night times. Okay, cool. There's more players. Yeah, but you're still running the same goddamn basic thing over and over. Like at the end of the day, it's still Mario Kart. So I'm not impressed. I think Nintendo solidified their greed with like, oh, we have to upgrade the price of all of our accessories, and now 90 fucking dollars for your Joy Cons is so unreasonable and ridiculous that I'm like, yeah, no, it's just pure greed. And I know they'll still sell out. I know they're going to go crazy because Nintendo sycophants, like, they can't get enough. Like, I always make the joke, and I'm always going to continue. They fucking sold people packets of cardboard and made it a thing. And people bought that hand over foot. So, like, of course they're going to make money. But yeah, they can be greedy and just, I think taking advantage of their fans and still make money on it. So yeah,
Make up hardware or at least a system. I think 450 is fine, but the games, like with you guys, like $80, you're not putting the money into it that you're putting into other games. I know the quality will be there once they start coming out, but it's like, yeah, you spent $10 million to charge $80 a game, and you're gonna, if it's gonna be another Animal Crossing or Pokemon, you're gonna sell at least 30 million copies. So they're gonna rake it in, and everyone's gonna buy them because we're all sick, and then yeah, the accessories, like that's just ridiculous. If they fix something and the sticks don't drift after, a decent amount of use, maybe it can be justified. Maybe you can show that, ROI on there and show some improvement. But if not, can't go with it. Next up, do you think features like the party and video chat are going to be meaningful upgrades or just catching up a decade too late? Well, Brian basically just summed it up there.
Yeah, decade too late. I'm sorry. I mean, we've already figured it out. We already solved the problem with Discord and everything else. We've already kind of sorted this piece of it out. It's a lot of the Switch 2 is them just catching up with everybody else. On my AMA episode this past week, someone asked, "Do I think if Nintendo went away, would we lose innovation in video games? My answer was I don't. I think the video games are better that are better because Nintendo's here. But if they all of a sudden disappeared into the ether, someone else would pick up the slack. And because there's so much innovation in the indie space from a gameplay perspective, and from hardware, they're now just catching up. They it's expensive because they realize we can't give people 720p output anymore in dock mode. We have to go 4K. We can't realistically sell a new system that doesn't do 120 frames on certain games. Like we can't do this again. And so where a lot of people are like, oh, now all these big selling points, I'm like, it's a camera, like, and it's not a great one. And even in the direct, the refresh rate on those cameras were terrible. It was looked like it was 15 years ago dial-up modem. So I'm not sold on these innovations for the Switch 2. It's an upgrade over the original Switch, which was an innovation, and it's the next generation of Switch, which is fine, but right now there's not a value. So I agree. I think a lot of those things will be. We'll see, but I don't see them to be anything more than just kind of distractions.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we're upgraded. It's like you just hit basically the network capabilities of a 360 and
Right.
the hardware capabilities of an Xbox One, best case. Like,
Right.
congrats.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. And yeah, you can do BB 4K again at certain frames. And again, it's not all about the graphical fidelity. And also, they also want to attract the developers. They realize the developers like, hey, I don't want Mortal Kombat to look like absolute garbage and take 38 seconds to load between matches. And I can't put my games on this thing. And it's just Nintendo keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak, because they have to. There's no choice in the matter. If that makes things more expensive, then that's what it is. But that's why it's not a $300 console. It's $450. I don't know. I don't see these. I know the big thing is like, oh, the Joy Cons are a mouse. Yeah, that's like the worst mouse in the history of mice. Like, did you imagine mousing with that thing for any length of time? I can't imagine. I can't
yeah.
imagine.
I don't think it's sell. I mean, it's not. I think it's not even going to come close to touching the numbers that Switch did for sales, especially with the price hike. And unless they let this be the console for the next 20 years, I don't think it touches the numbers.
I think it's an iteration, right? And I think and also we have to look at the environment we're in now, and the pandemic obviously helped a lot with the Switch. It went crazy with the pandemic and was hard to get. Yeah, I will see. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't hit the numbers of the original Switch because it is just that iteration. It's the next one,
Yep.
and I can see it being in short supply. I can definitely see it being in short supply for Christmas, probably artificially so from Nintendo. So you create that demand. They all do it. Let's be honest here. They can make more. Let's be honest. But
Yep.
yeah, and I agree. I don't know. I don't think it'll reach the heights of the Switch. I doubt it.
Yeah.
So I'll be shocked if it reaches the height of the Switch. But I gotta be a little bit of a devil's advocate here because I was thinking about this when I was listening to your AMA. If they haven't been innovating, and I will give you obviously that the hardware is less powerful and way behind, but if they're not innovating with the hardware, then why does everyone copy them every time they're successful? Like you
Fair.
had the Wii, so what did you get from that? The Kinect and the Move. You had the Switch. What did you get from that? The PlayStation Portal, the Steam Deck.
Mhm.
Xbox has a whole bunch of stuff that they're slowly putting out there. I think one or two of them are out there right now. It's like cloud based. It looks like a goddamn Switch. So it's like, can we really say that they're not innovating? Because they're the first one out there. They make it work, and everyone goes, "Oh crap! Now we have to catch up with that."
Yeah,
Now
and I
you could
agree with
just
you.
call them
Yeah.
gimmicks, and maybe that's why the other ones don't work. But it's a gimmick that works. If they went, that's just a gimmick. Why would they copy it?
And I think Nintendo is very innovative, and so I hope I wasn't saying they weren't innovative, but then Nintendo does cycles like with the Wii and the Switch are great examples. The Wii changed video games. It made it a household thing. It opened it to everybody. It was a revolution. It was really amazing. I'm going to do a series on the Wii after Final Fantasy probably. That'll probably be my next series of episodes for a game
When
of
you're
40 because I
60.
think it's because I think it yeah probably a gamer looks at 50 or 60 because I find it fascinating. I find the Wii absolutely fascinating. But then the Wii U comes out and it's just an iteration, right? And it's got a tablet. It's actually more of an innovation than the Switch 2 is compared to the Switch. Now you're right.
Oh yeah.
Nintendo will always be on the forefront of those innovations, but there are so many things that Nintendo will do, and that's why I appreciate about Nintendo. They'll go for it when they're and never use it again. Like I remember the old N64. The big thing with the Nintendo 64 when it came out was you could hold the controller in multiple ways. You could either do both on the paddles, left hand on the thumb, and right. And yeah, that was a big selling point. You can hold this controller in three different ways. I think maybe four games on that system supports anything but the traditional N64 control scheme. So Nintendo's famous for like all for gimmicks, for trying stuff. And I won't say gimmicks, for trying out features that no one adopts. Right? Like then I think that's good. I think having that kind of energy is okay. Well, let's give it a shot. Um, but I do think when it comes to the Switch 2, I don't think the Switch 2 is this big innovative thing. I think it's just an iteration on what already works, which is fine.
Mhm.
But I'll be very interested to see what they come up next, in 7, 8 years, whenever the next console. That'll be the question of how are we truly, what's the next iteration for them?
Definitely. All right, and last up from Randy. So actually, this goes to a little thing that just came out tonight. In the Billy Mitchell versus Carl Jobst drama, who comes out looking worse, and why does the retro gaming community keep eating this up? Well, obviously, you have one of the biggest villains in all of retro gaming out there with the plucky little YouTuber, well, until about 2 weeks ago. And yeah, obviously, so far the court case went through. Carl lost, and as of tonight, as of about an hour and a half ago, before going on there, Billy Mitchell posted on X, Carl Job's deadline to appeal has lapsed. The case is over. So, I mean, to me, that almost like gave me that like vibe of like M. Bison at the end of the Street Fighter movie going, "Game over,"
Yeah.
when he thought he blew up the boat. But yeah, I mean, Carl obviously looks worse. He lost outright. He isn't appealing, and everyone thinks he lied about the court case and why they gave him money. So yeah, I haven't seen 180 on public perception since probably The Completionist. So it's been a very interesting couple of weeks. That is for sure.
I would almost argue the outcome of this has increased Billy Mitchell's image.
It
Like
really has.
Carl has tanked his image completely. And if there were fans, like, yeah, I think it fucked him royally. Where, like you said, Billy Mitchell was the villain for how long? And now, like, you have something like this, and it's almost like he's like, see, I wasn't always a bad guy. And like, so you've just taken some of the bad guy shine off of him. And yeah, I think this is such a clear case of Carl's image is in the toilet. Pretty bad. I don't know how he's climbing out of this one, but say what you want about Billy Mitchell. He wins. So, you know.
Yeah. I was tangentially interested in tangentially. That's not a word. I was kind of sort of interested in the whole thing. I haven't really been keeping up, so this is the first I've heard of. I know that Carl lost the lawsuit. I didn't realize that that was the final nail. You know what? If you're going to accuse somebody of something, you better have receipts. You better
Mhm.
have receipts. That's the lesson learned. That's the lesson, kids. That's the lesson. If you're going to come at somebody, especially in a legal situation, you better not just be doing it for clicks, because once you start going after people in a legal situation, that's a wholly different. Anyone can go on their YouTube channel and talk smack about somebody, right? It is right, whatever.
Booming
But
industry. Yes.
yeah, it's just what it is. But once you take that next step, you better be damn sure. And yeah, Carl's image definitely took a serious hit that's going to take quite some time to recover from, if at all.
And if you're going to do it in a country where you have to prove damages and not in somewhere like Australia where you go, well, you obviously said something about him that's not right. And then you're just screwed out of $600,000. So good luck with that.
Have fun.
Mhm.
All right. Moving on to Basic Brian E. He asks, what is a skill that you have learned in school or practiced by yourself or with others that is useful, frequently revisited, reused, or turned into a good habit? That's different.
Really open ended. Hmm.
So a skill learned at school. that
Learn
I've
in school or
actually
practice with your others.
that
Maybe
I've
along the
used.
lines of something. Let's streamline this. Let's take something we learned at school that we actually found to be useful instead of everything that we had to sit through that turned out to not be.
Fair, fair. Um, does music count? Like, I guess I played drums and I would learn drums in middle school, and I was in drumline and marching band and all that fun stuff. So I don't think that's helped me in the real world, but it's been certainly been fun and neat, I guess. It's interesting how that works out, man. I I'm for college to a certain extent, but man, I didn't use a fraction of my college for my career. I got my first job out of college because I was good at talking. That's literally why I got it. I was like, oh, you're actually good at talking. Do you want this job instead of this job? I'm like, sure, that's great. And that was it, you know. So it's an interesting question because I think it lends to an idea that you never know what life is going to give you, and you can only prepare so much. I think that's kind of the core of that. You can only prepare so much, and for the rest of it, really becomes situational. So, I don't know. It's a good question. I'm trying to think. I mean,
Not,
oh,
no, I like that. That kind of inspired me. So yeah, similarly, I think through random exercises, starting with like my grade school, I did things called peer mediation. And it was a thing like because I misbehaved, I had to do something, and this helped me settle other people's shit, which led me to like leadership bullshits. And then that carried through high school and even into college. Like on one of our like projects, like you had to determine like which spot you would be. Project manager was one of them. And that led me honestly to my career of like just leading folks and knowing how to talk to folks and knowing how to like you can be the smartest dude in the world, but a lot of those guys, especially when we went to engineering school, they don't know how to talk to people for shit. So you need to have someone who's has enough technical knowledge to interpret what he's saying and give it to a customer or something like that. And just that and being able to talk amongst people, I can bullshit my way through any conversation with someone. And Jim knows I might not be the online guy, but in person, I can talk to people. And in almost any given situation, whenever there's an exercise at work or whatever, I end up being in a position where I end up being the leader of it, whether I like it or not. It's just something that happens. So that carried through from my grade school, I think, up until today. So that's probably the closest one I give.
Yeah, I think I learned sort of along Brian's lines, but I'm a bullshit artist. I learned how to because I picked and choose what subjects I really cared about or what I could go, oh, I actually have to sit down and really study this, or ones I could go, I could just kind of fake my way through this. And I turned into a guy, and Brian can verify this, that I'm not going to know a lot about one subject or way too heavy into it, but I'll know a little bit about a lot of things. And I'll be able to kind of duck and weave all that stuff together where I'm like Brian, like he is great in person. Like if you talk to me in person, I'm a little bit of a weirdo. But if you get me into a group setting or certain conversation topics, like I can just go off and kind of pivot from one to another and have something to add at least a little part. And somehow in a professional setting, it's almost like when I'm like, because I play in a band. So like when I'm on stage, it's like something clicks where it's like, oh, all right, it's time to just work my way through this. So if like I have to give a presentation or if I have to explain something to like a client in a way where even I'm just like, not even sure this makes sense from my end, and I just have to kind of make it work. So it's kind of one of those project resolution things where it's like, I might be outclassed here, but I can at least make it work at the end of the day.
yeah, and I think there's a value to that. I think there's a value to being able to communicate. Like there's being able to communicate is really important. And it's like my dad always used to say, don't bullshit a bullshitter. You know, that's kind of like
Yep.
that was his favorite saying. And is I think it's good to be well versed in things. And I think having the ability to be conversant about stuff and be able to convey an idea, and even if it's something you're not 100% sure on, just to get things moving forward in a direction is better than a lot of people where you just can't, right? All the knowledge in the world is great, but if you can't communicate that and move things forward, then you're stuck, right? No one's going to care. So I think there is a and I guess a nicer way is a gift of gab, I suppose. I don't know. But there is a value to that, right?
Yeah.
And something that can be sometimes be seen as like a pejorative where it's like that's not okay.
Yeah.
Having a gift of gab is important. It moves things forward for better or for worse.
A
And we all
trick with
turned into
Jim is
podcasters.
a
Yeah,
trick
I
with
mean,
Jim is he's always 3 questions deep, and you can crack his bullshit. Like if you first surface question on any topic, you're like, oh, maybe he knows it. The second question, you're like, does he know it? Third question is like, he definitely doesn't know it. So you're like, okay, this guy's full of shit.
Not every time, most of the time. And last up from Burn Retinas, would you rather train to run a Ninja Warrior obstacle course or train to be Dana White's Power Slap? Oh, God.
oh, I mean, I
Ninja
would
Warrior,
say
without a
Ninja
doubt.
Warrior without a question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
that. Yeah,
as someone who used to partake in a lot of slap boxing, I'll just say it's fine, but it's like I would much rather be able to jump, climb, do all these other things other than just the motion of slapping, knowing how to take slaps. So yeah, I will take Ninja Warrior. Now that being said, I think I'd be more successful in the slap boxing thing, but
Hmm.
I would rather be able to do the Ninja Warrior.
I agree. I definitely would say Ninja Warrior. I don't want to be slapped by anybody. That just doesn't sound appealing. I have limited time on this planet, and the less I'm slapped by anything or anyone, that the better. So yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna stick to Ninja Warrior. That's me.
Yeah, I have 7 brain cells left. I can't afford to lose anymore. I'll stick to Ninja Warrior.
Jim, which one would you have more success with?
That's the
Your
real question.
coordination is
That
a
is
real
the
problem.
Oh, no, I am not coordinated at all. I'm the guy who's like not intentionally falling on a trampoline. I just can't get my ass back up. So, you know what? I might get lucky and slap and hit the off switch on someone every once in a while. Like it won't happen a lot. It won't even happen maybe 10% of the time, but it will happen.
I think I'd be an epic fail at both, but again, so I think my failure rate would be equal for both. So I'd rather try to learn a skill and get fit as opposed to just getting a calloused face. I think that's basically it.
Nice.
And that wraps up the questions for this week. So once again, thank you to everyone out there for all the support. If you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or Podbean, head on over to all the different things. Click those buttons, click those links, and anything you can do, Canon will help the page. And while you're there in all these platforms, make sure to check out Bill's page at A Gamer Looks at 40. And what do you call it? Follow him on all the socials, follow his website, everything like that. Give him subscriptions, give him those 5-star reviews. Help the guy out. He's a great dude.
Appreciate that. Yeah,
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you so much. Yeah, man, absolutely.
All right, Chambers, before we get to the first topic, how did your blueberry treat you?
Good. It's a nice wheat ale. Leaves, the nice little mouthfeel there. It's a very light drinker. So if you want something good for the summer and you're a fan of blueberries, I recommend it. It's not amazing, but it's from Yards. They don't make it, they don't really miss. So you're going to have a good time with it. And in honor of Bill over here, I'm actually switching it up. So when I go to beer stores, I will go and grab the mix packs off the clearance rack. One, it's a way to try a bunch of different stuff. And two, I'm cheap. So this wound up being in one of them. And this is coming to us from the Athletic Brewing Company. And they are out of, where the hell are they out of? Whatever. I'll figure that out later. But this is their Ripe Pursuit, their non-alcoholic lemon radler. So it contains less than 0.5% alcohol. And yeah, this is actually my first time, I think, really trying a non-alcoholic beer. So cheers,
Hey,
boys.
cheers to that.
Very, very light lemony aroma there. So nothing overpowering with that.
Jim, did you miss where he talked about that brewery at the very beginning? Because this is Jim's bullshit where he he just said something, didn't realize, but sounded like he knew what was going on.
Man, what a way to follow up.
You just proved it, Jim Chambers.
That's what I'm great at. Whatever. But yeah, no, this is damn tasty. It's got
Jim,
the
the real
lemon flavor
question
coming
is,
through there. What's up, Bry?
knowing you and Sandy, you didn't get it because you thought it was non-alcoholic. You got it by accident.
No, I just said I got it from the mix pack I get.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is you probably didn't realize in the mix pack that it was a non-alcoholic beer.
No, I had no idea that it was in there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
So
no.
there's a happy accident, or
I
maybe
didn't go
a
out of my
happy
way to
accident.
have one. I was just like, oh, I have a non-alcoholic beer in here. When am I going to get around to that? And it's like, oh, perfect time.
Yeah, this works. Yeah, Athletic makes really solid non-alcoholic beers. So, and they got a lot of it right. I've had some bad ones, and so I've had some that are just not palatable. But yeah, no, they definitely do
Oh
good
Christ,
ones.
Connecticut and California. Man, I am an asshole. I apologize.
So yeah, I'm on my second one of these 316s, and this is after about 2 minutes now, and the head is you can see it's foamy. I like
It's
it's spilling
incredible.
over the top. It's just for an IPA, I'm not really used to that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know
You'll
if it's
love that.
can condition, whatever, but it's fine. So I'll have to wait a little while before I sip into the second one. And like I said, I do think this is better than I don't know the name of the one with the giant skull on it. Uh, this has a little bit more flavor, and
I think
it's
that was
good.
just called the Broken Skull IPA, so I think this is just
Was
a
it?
different one. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so this is our 316 IPA. But Chambers, you and we have big collections behind us. I'm not sure if Bill has it as well. We talked about nostalgia all day, and one of the things that our generation grew up with was the nice transition from VHSs to DVDs. And if you were
Mhm.
like us during the mid 2000s, I'm sure you bought too many goddamn random comedies and whatever was available, and you probably have so many DVDs. And what we're finding out from this article from IGN is that certain DVDs, specifically from Warner Brothers, produced during 2006 to 2009, have a specific rot issue.
Yeah, so this is going to come over into the world of gaming as well. But yeah, we're all collectors here in one form or another, or at one time we might have been collectors. And a big problem is just the preservation aspect of everything. And we're always like, oh, physical forever, physical, that's why I buy physical, so it doesn't go away. Well, there's no guarantee on that. And yeah, I mean, so they were saying that you can reach out to them and they're like, oh, we'll try to help you out. Like the people in the article talk about trying to contact Warner Brothers about the issue. And it was not an easy journey to get any kind of answer. But they sent him a large package replacing every title he noted the issue with, and if they're still producing it. So, I mean, we're talking about stuff from 15 years ago now, over 15 years. It's just going to get worse and worse. And as we all know in the world of gaming, once a game has had its run, the major publishers, they're not redoing that. And I mean, that's the prime error for us of the PS3 and the Xbox 360. For me and Brian, at the very least, one of our favorite generations of gaming. So it's like, uh-oh, these could all go away very, very soon, depending on because they're all printed on different kinds of, DVDs. It depends on the publisher, it depends on the developer, what system it comes out on. And even worse for game collectors out there, if you're a Sega CD owner, uh, sell that crap because you were on extremely borrowed time. They did not use the best material back then. Obviously, it was very early in the CD-ROM kind of days for gaming, but yeah, them more than anyone, it seems, is starting to get hit here and there with the disc rot. Might be a little speck or two, and you could be like, oh, the article even goes into it. Oh, I'll just go back up my thing. Well, you can try and back it up, but if you have these specs all over it, depending on the damage, you're going to be missing data from your DVDs in different way, one way or another. So, yeah, the whole idea of going out and buying all these press things and all this plastic we have behind us could be useless quicker than we expect. Bleak.
Bleak indeed. I was definitely that person in the early 2000s buying way too many DVDs on Amazon. As soon as I had Amazon Prime, I'm like, ooh, free shipping. Be here in a day. Fantastic. Let's go. I don't have any DVDs personally, although it's this article is making me want to go through them again. About 4 or so years ago, I did a big purge. I just took all of my DVDs. I think it was when my second kid showed up. Not showed up. I say that as if he just like
Where
wandered
the
in
hell
the
did this come
house.
from?
Hey,
Wait, what?
Dad.
Why is there a child in here? Okay, this is strange. No, when my daughter arrived, I realized that she was going to take my office, and which had collections of stuff, and I said I can't just stick these things in boxes anymore. So I got rid of a lot of boxes, but I kept the DVDs in a big monstrous binder. So now this is kind of prompting me to look at some of these really old ones. Like I have a lot of DVDs that are those dual sided. Remember? Do you remember
Yep.
those? It was
Oh yeah.
widescreen on one, full screen on the other. I have a bunch of those. I wonder if those things are starting to peter away. So I got to take a look see and see. I'm curious now after this article.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, like Jim said, think about PS1 games. Like they're of that era where yeah, like best case, they said Sony put out a statement saying, "Hey, DVDs kept in the right condition can last anywhere from 30 to 100 years." And the condition is like basically in the box in a room with a dehumidifier, which let's be
Yeah,
honest, unless you're someone with a basement that has issues, how often do people just run dehumidifiers near
right.
their DVD collections or books
Not
or
often.
no, nobody does that shit. You do it because you're in a basement. Same deal. But my
I was doing
point
it anyway,
is,
Brian, even when I didn't have the big issues.
but like that doesn't guarantee anything. That's just like, hey, that's the optimal way you can keep it. As we're seeing, like with WB and some of these other manufacturers, like if they just didn't press them right, use the wrong material, any of these things could just, it's going to deteriorate, right? Like, so yeah, we like to all say, oh, physical forever, it's great. But like this strengthens a thing of like, I don't want to say piracy, but like get the ROMs of all these games somewhere. Like, I don't care where you get them somewhere because they're going to be needed in the future. And if you need reprints in the future, fine, just do it. Just so it doesn't disappear for good, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's a real issue. I mean it's a real issue, especially for collectors. I'm not a huge collector of things, but I know a lot of people who are, and I know a lot of people who've invested thousands upon thousands of dollars in collections. And I'd hate to see someone's like amazing golden grail. Yeah, as Jim looks behind him, and as I look behind both of you with your amazing collections, but I'd hate to see that disappear. And yes, for the monetary reason, but also for like you said, the preservation reason too, right?
Yeah.
These things should stick around, and to have it fail because of just the limitations of the media, that's a shame. So I agree. I
Yeah.
think we should have ROMs of these things so we can keep these things when the DVDs eventually rot away.
Yeah, I think in the
Hmm.
retro gaming scene especially, there needs to get rid of that stigma around the word emulation because every year that goes by, that's all you're gonna have left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, yeah, obviously current gen stuff, yeah, support the developers, all that stuff. Anything beyond that though, don't let anyone make you feel bad about emulating anything ever.
No. No.
No.
No, and it's one of those situations where my son, for example, again, I was saying earlier, he's a big Zelda fan. So he was asking, can I play Wind Waker? Because he wants to play Wind Waker. I'm like, of course, but I don't have a physical copy of Wind Waker. I have an emulated version on my Steam Deck that he could play, but I don't have a real version of it. And what was interesting for me was I'd love for him to play it, but the controls, because he's only 9, right? So he's gonna have a hard time when it says hit X or hit Y, and that doesn't exist on the control pad in that shape.
Mhm.
That's gonna be challenging for him. So there's definitely limitations to obviously emulation. It's a pain. The newer the console, the more of a pain it is. Like GameCube games are really hard to emulate still. Like good luck trying to get Rogue Squadron 2 to run on the GameCube emulator. I've tried it recently. It's not easy and it doesn't work great.
Hmm.
So emulation is not perfect, and I as much as I love original hardware for the tactile reasons and the space for me is just the number one issue. I just don't have the space for all that stuff, and so for me, I think a balance is good. I'm glad emulation is there so people can experience these games. But I'm also glad that people are preserving these in physical versions because there is something really cool about a tactile game or an old DVD or an old jewel case. There's something just nice about having something in your hand that you can look at and appreciate, read the manual, all that fun stuff.
And thank
I
God
mean, Bill,
Nintendo.
to
Sorry, bro. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, Bill, to kind of do a callback and tie up all this. Nintendo has managed to both solve the problem of physical media and prove what we talked about earlier, their greediness. Because we've been talking about as a possibility for Switch games in general, but this has now all but confirmed. All physical third party Nintendo Switch 2 games in Japan are going to be game key cards. And that was a big controversy when the Switch 2 was announced. And they're like, no, 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 no. This is just for certain things. and it looks like it's going to be similar in the West as well. So we talked about before, these key cards, you're basically buying a piece of cardboard with a code on it, and then you download it, and you don't have the physical thing. Just it is what it is, and is that Nintendo greed, or is that Nintendo being innovative by saying like, "Hey, we recognize physical media is not going to be around forever." Like, you can call it either
Yeah,
one.
no, I think that's greed, and I think it's a problem because there's a lot of parts of this country and all around the world, especially where high speed internet is not a thing.
Hmm.
That's that the people assume. Again, I live in the Austin area, so my internet's fast, and I've always lived in metropolitan areas, so I've never had that kind of issue. But there are places in this country where you simply cannot get broadband internet, and you just can't get it. And while if you live in an area where you can't get broadband internet, that might be video games, may be the least of your concerns. That is literally gatekeeping a segment of the population from doing something that's potentially fun or potentially escapive or I don't know. I think that's a real problem because it's not easy for everyone to just pop on and download the game. If I buy a third party Switch 2 game for $80 and I buy it in physical version, I expect it to be physical version. And I plug it into the system, it better run and work without a day one patch that I need to download that I may or may not be able to do. It removes a fragment or a portion of the society or a portion of potential game players for no other reason really than really greed. I mean, game cartridges aren't big; they're tiny. It's not like we're getting lots of e-waste. I don't know. I think if you're buying physical, you should have a cart. That there should be a card in there that you can plug in. I don't think it should be a code card. I think that's ridiculous.
And like, there's been arguments online and like some Discord servers I'm in that's like, well, why is this a big deal for the Switch too? Because Xbox and PlayStation, they've been selling discs for generations now that are barely any code on a disc. You put it in, it's basically a glorified CD key. And it's like, yeah, I get that, but there's also like Nintendo prided itself before on being the one to still have the game on there. And this time it's almost like they're just passing the buck for blame because like CD Projekt Red, to their credit, both in Japan and the rest of the world, they're putting their ported Cyberpunk 2077 all on the cart. So you can pop that card in and you can just play Cyberpunk without needing a download. And that's a 64 gig game. So this article doesn't go into it as much, but other spots have said that Nintendo will charge developers more for the higher capacity game cartridges, basically. So it's an option for it, but they can easily just go, well, they didn't want to pay for it. Well, it's like, why are you charging it when your first direct was touting these giant expanded capacity game cartridges?
Right.
Like, yeah, you can have it out there. Like, we all know a first party Nintendo game will not be using that much power until it's like maybe halfway through the generation, if that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, like, they're always going to be like, 30 gigs tops or whatever. Mario Kart's only 24 gigs, and that's a whole world with 30 players racing at a time. So it's going like, well, what's the point of even talking about this if no one's ever going to do it and you have no incentive for anyone to ever do it? And, industry insider people are already like, well, most kids don't care at this point, and, developers don't want to pay for it, so it's the wave of the future, whatever. Like, it's that, like, last dying breath, basically, of physical media. We're all hoping to Switch 2 would keep it going, and, yeah, I'd be shocked
Uh,
to see anything third party being on a cart by the end of the life at all.
yeah, and
Outside
that's
of
a shame.
outside of indies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame. And I think there is something tangible that's lost with that. There is something tangible that is missing. Again, this is me being old man Bill here, but I have fond memories of trading games with my friends, and a lot of my formative gameplay experiences were borrowing games from friends and passing them back and forth. And hey, let me play this for the weekend. Let me play that for the weekend. A lot of that is gone with digital. And I know they have the way you can transfer between switches, and they've kind of solved that kind of sort of maybe. Yeah, I get it. And my Steam library, I share with my wife. We live in the same house, so we can share it. But there are certain games, even on my Steam library, that I cannot share with my wife, like the Mass Effect series. Mass Effect will not let me share it with her. She cannot go on because we have a shared account. She has her own Steam ID. I have my own Steam ID, and she plays on a Steam Deck. I have my computer. She plays Fallout New Vegas, and she plays my version of it. Now I can't play it at the same time. It'd be like plugging the same cartridge into two machines. We
Yeah.
can't play it at the same time, but with our family sharing, she can play Fallout New Vegas if I'm playing something else. That game we can't play at the same time.
Hmm.
Mass Effect Legendary Collection will not let you do that. So
Really?
EA has said, nope, can't do that with our game. Evidently, the publishers have the ability to do that. It really annoyed me because my wife really wants to play Mass Effect. Now she has to do it on my computer or buy her own $60 copy, which ain't gonna happen. So anyway, I think something's lost there, and I think yes, we live in a very technologically advanced society, and yes, most people have internet. It's not the biggest deal in the world to download a game. I had to download a game the other day, and I just let it run in the background for a few hours and it downloaded. Great, hooray! Not a big deal. But there's something lost with that tangibility, and there's something lost with the sharing of it and the accessibility as well. And it's another sign of companies going for that bottom dollar, that extra penny multiplied by a million. I get it, right? But you're losing something in the experience. It's a shame. I think it's a shame that that's going away.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree 100%. And I think all of us, we say it, and it's the, like Jim says, is the old man syndrome where you go like, well, in my day, you sit next to somebody and play a game. Like kids just don't do that shit anymore, right? Like they want to hop on. It's funny, like you said, my son is 8, and all his friends, his cousins, they do Fortnite, they do Minecraft, they do Roblox, but they are always on all together on the mics, and it's like weird. Like when they get together, sometimes they even want to play in some of these games. Like you really can't even split screen them. Like so they have to take like it's just so different. And game companies is agreed is a situation of like, well, you make more money if everyone has to keep rebuying versus that secondhand market that we don't see any value from. So it could be a million factors. It could be just a sign of the times, but unfortunately, I think you saw with the Xbox, they had the two consoles, right? The one that's an all digital console versus one that accepts physical media. I won't be shocked if the next PlayStation has an iteration of that, where you have physical versus a download. Nintendo, it wouldn't shock me if there's eventually a Switch to Lite and it's
Digital
strictly your
only.
download
Yep.
keys. Like it
Yep.
and it's that's 250 or 300 or
Right.
whatever. And now that's your mobile device, like nothing would shock me more than that. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I think a sign of the times. I think you always have people who want physical, but a return to that, I don't see. And then we proved with the other article, should you have it? Eventually, all that shit's gonna rot away anyway. So,
It's all
like,
becomes e-waste anyway. And again, there's
yeah,
lots of benefits to digital. Don't get me wrong, but I think giving consumers a choice, and I'd actually be fine and I think Nintendo's doing this with their physical too. If you buy a digital, it can be cheaper than buying a physical. I think that's okay. You'll have people who are collectors like
yeah,
you guys. They'll say, "I'll spend the extra $5 to have it in physical media and always have it forever or until it deteriorates." But to your point about forever. But even with the digital stuff, that's not forever either because they
nope.
closed the Wii shop. The DS shop is gone. Like
Hmm.
if my 3DS bricks tomorrow, all that stuff I bought on it, I ain't getting again. It's gone. So it's
Yeah,
not as bulletproof
exactly.
as just like physical media. That is dependent on a decision from a company for dollars and cents, not just hey, my CDs are rotting because they're 35 years old, right? That's a totally different situation. So
I think what you're saying, Bill, and I think Jim and I agree with you. Pirate everything.
steal it all. That's it. That's it. Bill from the Gamer Looks at 40 says steal away. Just go. Just whatever. Who cares? Flip that. Not saying that, of course. Damn it. But I
Oh,
do.
that's gonna be the TikTok clip, Bill. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's the
That's going
one.
Yeah.
everywhere.
Go for it. You know what? It's fine. I've said worse in public forums. It's totally fine.
Just don't,
Uh,
whatever you do, don't bash Billy Mitchell. That's all you
don't
gotta
do it.
do.
Don't do it. Just leave him and his hot sauce alone. Just leave him alone. His American flag ties and his hot sauce. Just leave him be.
I think
Yep.
he's a lovely man. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I've never met him. I'd love to have him on A Gamer Looks at 40. I would love to interview Billy Mitchell. That'd be a fascinating conversation. It would be a conversation I wouldn't get a word in edgewise in. I don't think I would say 3 words and he would just talk. And then he would talk for 20 minutes and I would say something else and he would talk for another 20 minutes. So, but I would totally talk to Billy Mitchell on my show.
That's called an easy
Great.
night's work right there.
That's pretty light work. That's not too shabby. Not too shabby at all.
So Chambers, how was your non-alcoholic beer?
You know what? It was good. And I definitely see what Bill was talking about with like not having that bite to it. Even like low alcohol stuff, you'll still get that little tinge in the back of your throat where you're like, oh, there's some booze in here. So you're not getting this. It was very lemonade basically. It was like, Rattlers are already very heavy on like the fruit they mix in there and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just like an even like almost like a more intense shandy kind of flavor with the lemon in your mouth. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, delicious. So, if you're looking for non-alcoholic, I recommend it. It's a good time.
Yeah, and the only thing you're going to miss with with non-alcoholic beer is the malt. You're going to miss that malt backbound because there just isn't there because
Yeah.
again, that's where your alcohol comes from, right? So that's the only thing you're going to miss out. But Athletic does a pretty good job with what they do, and they're pretty close, especially with their the beers that don't require as much of a malt background. I've tried. They had an Oktoberfest I tried last year, and it was not good. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, that would be a really, I mean, that's such a malt heavy style that you're like, yeah, if you don't
I
have
was like,
malts, like, how do
no,
you,
because I
yeah,
love Oktoberfest beers. I love
that's
all that. It's like Marzens and like
Marzens. Oh, yeah,
those
that's, yeah.
rich like caramel flavors. And I was like, ooh, I can have one of these. And it was not.
And you're like,
It was
wait a
a good
second.
try. It was a good
Yeah.
try, but it was not anywhere near. It's like,
It's like when you have some of those diet sodas and you're like, some of them are great. And then you have
yeah.
other ones you go, what the fuck is this? You're like, this is just terrible.
Speedway makes a non-alcoholic Speedway stout. They or AleSmith, sorry, AleSmith makes a non-alcoholic Speedway
Oh,
stout.
okay.
It's fine. It tastes like cold brew because there's no malt background,
But,
so
yeah.
it's fine, but not quite the same. So if you're gonna go non-alcoholic beers, stick with the lighter stuff. I think Goldings are great. I've had some wheats that are actually pretty good, and if you get your hands on some non-alcoholic sours, they're actually good because the malt backbone doesn't really matter at that point. You're just getting
Yeah.
tart fruit, so and that comes through really strong. So
How is your Brooklyn non-alcoholic?
solid. It was solid. I think I've had this before. This is a sample pack I probably picked up a while ago. Um, Solid. They do a pretty decent job. I like their hazy, pretty nice. But as a golden goes, easy drinker. Yeah, nothing to complain about. Kind of your standard golden ale. So it was the first one I picked out of the box. I was like, oh, this will be fine. So yeah, pretty solid.
How about you, Bry?
Yeah. Yeah, no, the 316, I think I definitely prefer it over their regular Broken Skull. Um, I, it's funny, like when you smell it, it's it makes you think you're about to drink a hazy. Now, once again, it's a standard IPA, just American. I don't even know if it's fully West Coast. I think it's just standard. Um, it has like those tropical notes where you go, ooh, and then you taste it and you're like, oh, it's not bad. I want to say there's a littlest hint of like maybe mango, maybe papaya, but it's not quite there. The bitterness kind of comes in pretty heavy with this one, but it's really good for 7.2%. It's another one where you drink and you go, yeah, I'm not really feeling it. The head once again is insane, and the lacing. I mean, you can see from my glass, it stays pretty damn well with this one. So I like it. I think it's better than the regular. I don't even know how many beers that company has at this point. Like, but yeah, if you're a wrestling fan and you want, oh my God, I just clicked on their brewery. They have 96 beers. So
Wait, what?
I did not realize that. So
Wow.
When did that
I
happen?
don't,
Holy crap.
I d well, El Segundo, the Steve Austin beers, there's one, two, three, four. There's only four of them. They have Broken Skull, Double IPA, American Lager, and this. So, but they have 96 other beers. So I was not
Wow.
aware of that.
Prolific. Holy crap.
But with that, Bill, we want to say thank you so much for hopping on. Make sure we have all the links below. Give them a follow, give them subscribe, Follow his channel. Appreciate it, bud, for you coming on, and for everyone listening and watching. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean. If you give us a 5-star rating, we'll read each and every one of those comments on every one of our Power Hour podcasts. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment, leave us a like, hit the subscribe button. We truly appreciate that. With that, we want to say have a good night, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.